To understand the electrical properties, these are the 6 reasons we need to know. 7 reasons. 7 reasons. The decreased electrical conduction of metals and semiconductors is due to, somebody is coming. Obaid, you should come on time. Okay. The decreased electrical conductivity of metals and semiconductors at a nanoscale is due to surface scattering, including grain boundary scattering, widening and discrete nature of the band gap, quantized conduction, including ballistic conduction, Coulomb charging, and tunneling, quantum tunneling. Then the decreased electrical conduction may also be due to change in the canopy of the material surface or change in the microstructure, or simply known as change in the morphology. Reduced impurity may be one reason. Maybe we may see increased conductivity or reduced structural defects and dislocations, essentially defect-free materials. These two are linked. Reduced impurity means of more purity. Material may be of more purity. Okay, so higher the purity, metals may show higher conductivity. Impurity in the semiconductors may show increased conductivity. That's different. Generally, higher pure metals may show higher conductivity. There is impurity will act as a center to arrest the electron mobility metals. Maybe presence of defects in the semiconductor may increase. I'm talking about size. So to understand the change in the electrical properties of nanostructured materials, these are the reasons, 7 reasons. Surface scattering, including grain boundary scattering. Widening and discrete nature of the band gap. Quantized conduction, including ballistic conduction. Coulomb charging and quantum tunneling. Then other minor reasons are change in the microstructure morphology and reduced impurity, or material might have become more pure, especially carbon materials, polymers. You are seeing many new terminologies, isn't it? Scattering, you know. What is surface scattering? Then what is grain boundary scattering? I'm sure this second reason you know. Widening and discrete nature of the band gap. We have dealt this. We have dealt that. Then what is quantized conduction? Organized conduction. Resistance-less conduction. There is resistance-less conduction. We call them as a ballistic conduction. You would have heard about ballistic velocity. Have you heard about ballistic velocity? Any of you?
No, sir. In English,
Ballistic.
what is called ballistic time?
Yes, ballistic time, ballistic velocity. Escape velocity of the Earth is 12.4 kilometers per second. Unless you lift the satellite above this velocity, it is not possible to move out of the Earth. Once it reaches, then the satellite is said to be in the ballistic region where there is no gravity or there is no resistance. Ballistic velocity. Now we have here ballistic conduction. Resistance-less conduction means we are going to get very high conductivity. Let's see one by one. Scattering, that terminology you should be knowing that something is scattered. And we are talking about electron conductions. Then something to do with the mobility of the electrons. Okay, whether it is an electron or semiconductors. So when the grain size is sufficiently made down to the critical dimensions, critical size. Today you must tell what is the critical size for metals and what is the critical size for semiconductors. You must answer that. What is that critical size I'm talking about? When the critical dimension of something is smaller than already there, answer is there. Mean free path of electrons in metals and less than that of the exciton Bohr radius. Then the mobility, the direction, velocity of the charge carriers will be reduced, changed, modified, will result in decreased conductivity. Assume that you have taken a thin film, non-structured thin film, something like this. Assume that this is a thin film. This material dimension is beyond micron bulk size. This dimension also beyond micron bulk size. But this thickness is nano, few nanometer. Let it be any material for that matter. And this nano thickness or dimension is about D, designated at Z, D. Assume that this is a metal, a gold thin film you are considering. Gold thin film you are considering. Okay. So for simplicity, even though the thickness that I consider is a 10 nanometer, that 10 nanometer thickness I have given like this. There is a boundary here. Okay, there is a boundary here, or you can assume like this. This is 10 nanometer. There is a boundary here. There is a boundary here. I have considered this thickness. Okay, for simplicity, I can also consider like this, very large. This thickness is 10 nanometer, D. There is a boundary here, there is a boundary here. Okay. Assume that you have a particle anywhere. You can assume anywhere. For I assume here there is a particle. What is that particle? Charge. I mean the mobility, the electron particle, electron. And we consider this as a metal, very specifically gold. Charge carriers are none other than the electrons. Electron is the particle. And how the conduction take place? It moves. It moves here. 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 It can move here. Or it can move here. It can move here. Or it can move here. Or it can move here. Depending within the mean free path, it can move all along the dimension of the material. If it moves directly like this, there is no restriction for the mobility of the ions. But when it moves in other direction, it's a drunkardman walk, right? Electron mobility in the metal is a drunkardman walk, random walk. It can move like this, 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 any direction. So we have assumed here. You can assume this also. When it moves here, it will hit at the surface. Okay, this is 10 nanometer. A particle is here in a given time, and it moves here and will hit at the surface. I'm sure you will agree with me. Once the electron will hit at the surface, it will lose its momentum. It will lose its energy, and its direction will be modified. Its velocity will be modified. Once the charged particle will hit, when it hits the surface, either it can undergo elastic scattering or inelastic scattering. As long as the electron undergoes elastic scattering, there won't be change in the momentum, mobility, etc. But when it undergoes inelastic scattering, definitely it will lose its energy and direction and will result in the decrease in the mobility. When there is a decrease in the mobility, definitely will result in decreased electrical conductivity. And this is very much observed in nanomaterials. As the thickness of the material decreases down to the mean periphery of metals, the mobility, the direction of the charged particles or the particle contributing for the conductivity will feel the boundary effect, will undergo inelastic scattering, will impinge on the surface. Okay? By means of impinging on the surface, the mobility will be lost and there will be obvious size effect. There is the reduction in the conductivity. How much is? You can quantify. This is the ratio of the bulk resistivity to that of the thin film resistivity, and this resistivity is inversely proportional to the thickness or the size. I have taken simplicity thin film. It can be for particle or anything, wire, rod, etc. Lower the D value, this number is going to be higher. It means that there is an obvious size dependence on the resistivity. Opposite of inverse of the resistivity is conductivity. Okay. So this is scattering. What is a grain boundary scattering? Including grain boundary scattering. So this is a thin film. It's not a monolith. You know what is monolith? A single grain. This is a thin film. Okay, thickness is 10 nanometer. But if you closely observe this 10 nanometer thin film, you will find several grains present in that. The interface or the spacing present between the two grain is known as grain boundary. Grain we know, boundary we know, edge. So then there are grains and the boundary is grain boundary. The electron need not be only hitting at the surface. Electron or the charged particle need not be only hitting at this surface. Or electron or charged particle need not be only hitting at this. But even it moves, there is a grain and there is a space between the grains and will hit at that grain boundary and can get scattered. As long as it undergoes elastic scattering, there won't be change in the conductivity. But this is very much felt in the nanostructured materials, inelastic scattering leading to reduced conductivity because of the reduction in the mobility, velocity, and direction is modified. So in addition to obvious size effect, inelastic scatterings are favored. Okay, so by these things. If there is any defect, it will also result in inelastic scattering. Surface impurity and roughness will facilitate favoring the inelastic scattering apart from the reduction in the grain size. If there is an inelastic scattering, there will be an obvious reduction in the electrical resistivity. Okay, so then will result in low conductivity. Increased resistivity or resistance, lower conductivity. This is applicable to even semiconductors, need not be only metal. One reason why nanostructured materials, metals, semiconductors show decreased conductivity is because of the scattering and including grain boundary scattering at a nanoscale, where the charged particle loses the velocity, changes its direction, losing the mobility, results in decreased conductivity. Even metals, semiconductors. Insulators, definitely no doubt that it will be still lower. This is one example, cobalt silicide. Can anyone give the formula for this compound? Cobalt silicide is simple formula one can give. Anyone can give. Cobalt silicide. 50-50 composition will be cobalt 50, silicon 50. 70-30, cobalt 70, silicon 30, any composition. Okay, someone has evaluated the resistivity versus the temperature for different sizes of this material. Cobalt atomically substituted on silicon substrate, and their conductivity has been resistivity has been evaluated for different sizes. What are the sizes you see here? 110 nanometer, 19.7 nanometer, 12.5 nanometers. 100 nanometer, 20 nanometer, roughly 10 nanometer. So which is having higher resistivity? This one. 12.5 nanometer cobalt particle has the higher resistivity. Means will have lower conductivity. Because the electron in this thin film has more opportunity to hit at the surface, and their mobility, direction, energy get modified and conductivity is lost. Then this filled circle is large size, 100 nanometer, lower resistance, higher conductivity. This is more like bulk. Okay, more like bulk. I have another example. This is for some material. Antimony oxide, semiconductor. There are two sizes, 30 nanometer antimony oxide and 150 nanometer antimony oxide. So if it would have been a regular classes, I will never allow any students even 1 or 2 minutes late. You can check with your seniors. Kame, okay, I should admit him first. If please come on time. In regular classes, either you come on time, otherwise don't attend. That's how I practice. Kamesh, hereafter you should come on time, otherwise don't come. Not only for Kamesh, even for others. If you're joining, you please join. Sometimes I may be late due to some other work, but students, you have to come on time. And this is afternoon class. You should have been ready. Okay, so you might tell any reasons, no power, internet, all those things are there, but you try to come on time. I will also try to come, mostly 99% I will come, except in the morning class, first hour classes. So I try to come, definitely. Okay. So even for semiconductors, we have two sizes, 30 nanometer and 150 nanometer. And this is proton conductivity. This is resistivity. This is proton conductivity. So directly conductivity is given. Larger size, larger conductivity. Smaller size, smaller conductivity. So the statement is valid. Conductivity decreases at a nanoscale. Metals, semiconductors. One reason is scattering, including grain boundary scattering. Surface scattering, including grain boundary scattering. The other reason is widening and discrete energy levels. Creation or formation of widening of band gap, decreased band gap. We have already seen it. It is simple for me now. That's why I have taken several classes when I wanted to introduce the optical properties. Density of states we have seen, dispersion we have seen, mean pre-path we have seen, and exciton Bohr radius we have seen. What are Kubo gap? There is a relation between Kubo gap and band gap, or number of particles, Fermi energy level, and there is a correlation between the band gap engineering and particle size, etc. We have seen that in the bulk material, the energy levels are continuum. There is a continuum density of state. Whether you plot a number of electrons versus the energy, or density of states versus the energy. The change in number of electron with the energy dN by dE is the density of state. It is continuum for the bulk material, whether it is a metal, semiconductor, insulator, etc. But there is a band gap for metal, semiconductors, and insulators. But this density of state is low, decreasing when we move from bulk to nano. Even metals may develop band gap, metals may develop Kubo gap. Definitely for semiconductors, there is increase in the band gap. We have already witnessed. The band gap moves more like discrete in nature. Band gap moves more like discrete in nature, like this. It is not continuum. It is not continuum. It is more like discrete. If not discrete, at least step function or delta function. Step function or delta function. There is decrease in the density of state. Then obviously there is increase in the band gap. Increase in the band gap, in the case of semiconductors, we have already seen that there is change in the optical properties. Because in semiconductors, the optical properties are related to the absorption of energy from the electromagnetic radiation by the electron present at the ground state, goes to the excited state, then the exciton undergoes decay. When it is a when it is a radiative decay, it will emit a different color, different size, different band gap. Different band gap of semiconductor will observe different wavelength. Then emission color also will be different. Optical properties are different. Appearance of the semiconductors are different. When the band gap is increased, obviously now you will agree with me that there will be decrease in the conductivity also as well in the case of metals and semiconductors. And in the case of metals, even if there is no development of band gap, but there can be a development of Kubo gap. We have already defined what are Kubo gap. The average distance present between the successive energy levels is known as Kubo gap. Kubo gap is 0 in bulk, but it is significant in the nanostructured metals, and of course in the semiconductor also. This is continuum semiconductor, valence band and conduction band, or metals. And there is a development of Kubo gap. The line spacing is there. They are all nothing but energy levels. If we have one atom, energy levels are atomic energy levels. If we have two atoms, we have a molecular orbital. They are the energy levels. If we have 10 power 23 number of atoms, ions or molecules, we have so many number of energy levels. But in the nanoparticle, we have only countable number of atoms. It's no longer 10 power 23. It may be 10 power 5 or 10 power 3 or countable number 300, 400 atom in a thermodynamically stable grain. For example, such grain. This is bulk. Then obviously less number of density of states and the energy levels are obvious difference. That is we call it as a Kubo gap, and that results in increased band gap. We have already seen it. I little elaborated so that it will benefit the newly joined students. Okay, so the take-home point is as there is change in the electronic structure, that is essentially change in the band gap, increased Kubo gap, it will obviously result in reduced electrical conductivity. Metals may undergo transitioning to semiconductors. Semiconducting nanowires may become insulators. Insulators may become more insulating. So again here, the size is not very common. There is a range of size. Size range is there, 1 to 100. But you need to talk about a specific material. Okay, a exciton bore radius is specific. Mean free path of metals specific to metals. So, for example, bismuth nanowires undergoes to transitioning from metal to semiconductor at the grain size of 52 nanometer. But gallium nitride of 17.6 nanometer is still semiconductor. 52 nanometer, larger nanometer compared to 17.6 nanometer, bismuth is becoming semiconductor. Gallium nitride is already semiconductor in the bulk, and if you make 17.6 nanometer, still it is semiconducting. You see that it is not the size, highly characteristic of the materials. Whereas 5 nanometers of a silicon wire becoming insulator. So then it means the band gap of silicon would have increased beyond 3.6, 3.5 electron. So metals may become semiconductors, semiconductor may become insulator, insulator will become more insulating. If the size is sufficiently reduced down to the size of electron mean free path and exciton bore radius, metals may become semiconductor, even copper may become insulator, silicon becomes anyway insulator, or for that matter, any material. Metals are semiconductor or insulators. So this is the second reason why there is a decrease in the conductivity of nanostructured materials compared to the bulk material. Is due to change in the electronic structure. You have to write everything: density of state, Kubo gap, band gap, etc. One reason previously we have seen scattering, grain boundary scattering. The second is band gap. All together deals with the band gap. Then we have another reason, change in the conductivity of the materials compared to the bulk and the nano. This is very much possible in carbon nanotubes, or simply nanotubes for that matter. Quantum transport or ballistic conduction, Coulomb charging, quantum conduction or quantum tunneling, or tunneling conduction, all nearly same. As we know that ballistic mobility or ballistic velocity is without any hindrance. For satellite launch, it may be the resistance pulled by the earth, gravity. But for the electron, it may be the grain boundary or the material restriction. Okay, so but ballistic conduction is the conduction without any restrictions. This occurs very specifically in carbon nanotubes. We will see separately carbon nanotube, why they form, how to synthesize, what are the properties, and what are the applications separately. I require one class for that. In the content is in the first unit only. For continuity, I will take up in the second unit. Okay, during the synthesis of nanostructured materials, I will talk about carbon nanotubes. Okay, so the ballistic conduction occurs in carbon nanotube, generally in nanotubes and nanowires. And this ballistic conduction you can expect if the material dimension is less than that of the diffusive region or mean free path, ballistic region. So if the material dimension is beyond the diffusive region, where we have electrons are having a random walk, then it is a bulk material. But this ballistic conduction occurs if the material dimension is reduced down to the diffusive region. Capital L is less than that of the small l, where capital L is the diffusive region, L is the ballistic region. If something like this in a bulk material, it can hit, there are a lot of hindrances. Density of state is more. There is a scattering, Browne boundary scattering, hindrance from the fronts and the force. But there are no such hindrances in the ballistic region. By the time it makes a movement in the next time, so there is a conductivity established within the material. No restriction. That is why when I introduced the electrical properties of nanostructure materials, generally conductivity decreases, electrical conductivity decreases in case of metals, semiconductors, and insulators. Exemptions are carbon materials and polymers. And this ballistic conduction occurs very much in carbon nanotubes, where without any restriction, the conduction is taking place. And you see the conductivity of carbon nanotube is much higher than that of the graphite. Is graphite metal? Is graphite semiconductor? Or is graphite insulator? Is an insulator? What would be your answer?
Graphite is a lubricant.
Is it a semiconductor? Is it having a graphite is having a band gap? Is graphite having a band gap? Graphite has zero band gap, and it is called as a semi-metal. But when you make the carbon nanotube, it shows metallic conductivity. Metallic conductivity. A mixture of semiconducting and metallic conduction you expect for carbon nanotubes. One reason, the main reason is there is a ballistic conduction happening in carbon nanotube without hindrance. Occurs in carbon nanotube, generally in nanotubes. And you believe it or not, this ballistic conductions facilitates to develop set single electron transistors. Single electron transistors. Metallic conduction you can expect in carbon materials. Before Ijima, who is Ijima, inventor of carbon nanotube? There are 2-3 claims, but mostly Ijima, who has invented this carbon nanotubes. Okay, so become the basis for single electron transistor. I will explain what is that. Okay, so you can directly measure. No restriction in the mobility of the charge carriers. And it can become a basis for set single electron transistors. You don't need to transfer bulk number of electrons to have the transistors, which requires huge time and huge power. The processing of your mobile phone or laptop has been increased. I remember I used to have a laptop having a random access memory 128 kilohertz. Yes, then increase it to 250 hertz. Nowadays you are having 6 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, or 4 GB RAM, etc. During our days, it used to be hertz. Now you have gigahertz, GB. Thanks to these nanotechnologies, thanks to these single electron transistors. Very quick transfer of the charge or the data with less consumption of the power. Ballistic conduction. Then to add to that, Coulomb blockade or Coulomb charging is also the reason for change in the conductivity. So how the conductivity of any material is measured? Generally, for example, you have been given a metal or a semiconductor. How will you measure the conductivity of that material? Generally, how will you measure the conductivity, electronic conductivity of the material? Generally. So for example, this is a material given to you. Then you need to measure. You need to measure the IV characteristic, basically. Then you need to have two conducting plates, top one, bottom one. Okay, top one, bottom one. Then this material must be conducting. Then only if there is a flow of, then there is a supply of voltage, the electron will, the charge carriers can move, and conductivity established, and depending on the voltage that you apply and the current that is generated in IV curve, and you take the resistance from the slope and you can quantify based on the resistance, metal, semiconductor, insulator, etc. In the case of metals, there is no doubt that there is no problem, electron will move. Okay, so electron from this higher energy, higher electrode to higher energy electrode to lower energy, there is a voltage difference and electron can move, and this material, your substance, will conduct the electron, metals. Semiconductors, maybe with respect to, with some restrictions. Insulators will not conduct, resistance will be more. Now you are asked to measure the nanomaterials. Nanomaterials. Whether it is a metal or semiconductor, that is different. How will you measure? What will happen? What should happen? When you apply the bias voltage, so it should overcome the energy, the rest velocity of the charge carrier should overcome from the voltage that is being applied, or bias voltage. Then from that position, electron will be lifted, and there is a large number of electron, and it will move, and there is a conduction established in bulk. But now nano. In nano, we have increased band gap, and we have discrete energy levels. In the bulk, there are large number of electrons, large number of energy level. Excuse me. We have large number of energy levels, and then more number of electrons are there, and the conduction is continuum. But in the case of nanomaterials, we have discrete energy level. Discrete energy level means there is a separation between each energy levels. Electron has to cross from this energy level to another energy level. Then from that energy level to another energy level. In this case, it is not following the mass. What is mass? It's not following the crowd, unlike it happens in the bulk material. In bulk material, more number of energy level, more number of electrons, and in group people, the electron will move. Conduction is established. But here, since there is a restriction, only one electron at a time. And the electron acquires the energy. The electron gets charged from the applied bias voltage. Unless the electron acquires the minimum Coulomb energy, it cannot be moved from its position. That energy is known as Coulomb energy or Coulomb blockade. That phenomena is known as Coulomb blockade and Coulomb energy. Energy to overcome the rest velocity of the charged particles in the nanostructured material is Coulomb energy. And because of that, only one electron at a time, it can be moved from one energy level to another energy level. Then the conduction is by transition of one electron at a time. Transitioning or transfer of one electron at a time requires less energy compared to the bulk. So it means the Ohm's law will fail here, or Ohm's law fails here. It is no longer continuum like this. It is no longer continuum like this. IV curve is not linearly varying for nanostructured materials, and it is stepwise. Ohm's law fails in the nanostructured materials. This is revolution. Unless the energy of the electron acquired E square by 2c, okay, or depending on the number of electron available, this number it cannot move from one energy level to another energy level, even though one electron at a time. Then there is a conduction is established. Since the transfer of the electron is one electron at a time, Ohm's law is no longer linear with in a IV curve, and it is staircase like this. It is staircase. You believe it or not, this one electron transfer at a time is the basis for developing a new type of transistors called SET against the conventional MOSFET. Those who have studied electronics strongly, they would know, or some physics background students may know what are MOSFET, SET, FET, MOSFET. Metal oxide semiconducting field emission transistors, which are mostly based on semiconducting metal oxides, where the transfer of the electron is hundreds of electrons to thousands of electrons, not hundred, thousands of 10,000s of electrons transfer, which requires significant time and significant power or energy to make this transition. But in nanostructured material, the transition can happen by one electron at a time. One electron mobility will definitely be much shorter compared to the mobility by 10,000 electrons for that example. And the energy required to do this also will be different. So then these nanostructured materials, nanotechnology or nanomaterials become the basis for single electron transistors. And it can become single electron logic circuits, okay? And it is also possible to make a memory storage based on this. Maybe in the application we will see some. It will become basis for the memory storage, very large storage of data in a given time, in a given small mass or given small volume. That's why this nanotechnology, nanomaterial is so fascinating. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it hard to follow? Did I make complicate?
No, sir. It's very
Is it
interesting to
complicated?
know.
Is it complicating? I'll go ahead. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay. Okay. So the last reason why nanostructured materials show change in conductivity compared to the bulk is quantum tunneling or quantum conduction or tunneling conduction. I don't know you are aware of this effect, Josephson effect. Have you anybody heard about the Josephson effect? No, right? Meissner effect, have you heard about? No. Have you heard about maglev? Magnetic levitation, have you heard about?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? There are maglev train, right? Or there is. There were. Now I can say there is. Magnetic levitation train. Where it is?
Japan.
No.
Japan and China, sir.
In two places it was there. In Germany and in China. Due to big accident in Germany they stopped magnetic levitation train. But still in China it is existing. Still people are using. One magnetic levitation train is running from the airport of Shanghai to the downtown. 35 kilometers distance crosses in less than 5 minutes. So I'm fortunate to witness that. I experienced that during 2007 when I visited Shanghai for some work. How many kilometers? 430 kilometers per hour on the surface. Believe me, even if you think of a very high profile four-wheelers, the maximum speed one can achieve or an expert driver, maybe 200 kilometers or so, or 250 kilometers or so. No other vehicle. I'm not representing Audi. So that's the surface fastest velocity one can achieve. But with this magnetic levitation on the surface, on the ground, a vehicle running at 20 meters per hour. This is like slightly off of the that of the flight speed. Yeah, domestic flight speed. That is 900 kilometers or 1000 kilometers per hour. Domestic flights, maybe international flights, maybe a little larger. On the surface, such a high speed could be possible because of this effect, Meissner effect. There we have two conductors and in between insulator. The track is a conductor, the superconductor, and the train wheels also superconductor. In between air is an insulator. And there is no friction between the track and the wheel. And any speed is possible. Very high speed is possible. Unfortunately, so it is very expensive to run such vehicles because the temperature at this place must be maintained at a liquid nitrogen temperature, which is very, very expensive to maintain for long distance. And there are no high temperature superconductors for that matter. That is the restrictions. So if you sandwich any insulator between the superconductor, the insulator also behaves as a superconductor. That is the basis in magnetic levitation train. Magnetic levitation. There instead of superconductors, magnets. Okay, similarly here. So assume that you have been given two aluminum plates. Aluminum is a metal conductor. Conductivity may be less or high depending on some other metals or some other material. Assume that you have been given aluminum two plates of aluminum. One more, yes. 2 plates of aluminum you have been given. And in between, you are sandwiching with some insulator. You are sandwiching with some insulator. That is some organic molecule. We represent organic molecules in terms of carbon chain. Carbon chain is 22, 20, 18, 16, decreasing. This is similar to particle size decreasing. Particle size decreasing. Okay, particle size decreasing. Or this is similar to decrease in the particle size. Decrease in the particle size, now we know it is better. You call them as a nanoparticles. Then how the conduction take place between these insulator, organic insulator and the metals, aluminum metal. In fact, there should not be no conduction because organic molecule is an insulator. But you can able to measure the conductivity. And it is possible to tune the conductivity. Similar to the Josephson effect, Meissner effect, there is a conduction taking place between the aluminum plates even though it is an insulator. Because the spacing is very tiny. And we call there is a overlap of atomic orbitals. That overlap we call it as a quantum tunneling or overlapping of wave functions. Electron wave functions overlap of wave function of electron in this and the wave function of electron in this, they overlap, and there is a conduction path felt and there is a conduction established. That is highly dependent on the size. As the size decreases, resistivity increases, conductivity decreases. This is similar to Josephson effect. Track is one material, the wheel is another material conducting, superconducting. In between space, air is insulator. At low temperature, that here air also behaves as a superconductors. Something like this. Josephson junction. I think I'm mostly done on the electrical properties. Then the last reason why there is maybe decrease or there may be a change in the conductivity is because of the change in the morphology. What is morphology? What is morphology? I am seeing this surface very smooth. Mobile back cover is very smooth. Then this is a paper, very smooth, very smooth. To my eyes, or maybe it might look the same for your eyes also, or it might look for you and the same thing might be also same surface. But when I look at the surface, you can see how the grains are oriented or arranged. That is known as microstructure or morphology. In the fourth unit, we will see on morphology. You will have to wait till fourth unit. So this morphology may be different at nanoscale materials, and that might result in change in the conductivity. And very specifically, in the case of a polymer nanofibers, you see increased conductivity. We have already seen one exception in the case of carbon nanotubes. There is increased conductivity. There is a decreased conductivity in the case of metals and semiconductors and insulators. In the case of carbon nanotube, there is increased conductivity due to what? Ballistic conduction. Ballistic conduction. Similarly, here is another exception, as I have been telling from the beginning. In polymers, there is increase in the conductivity. This is the polymer nanofiber diameter, fibril diameter, 2000 nanometer, 1000 nanometer, 500 nanometer, 200 nanometer, and this is conductivity. And there are two polymers. One polymer synthesized at 0 degree temperature, another polymer synthesized at minus 20 degree, low temperature. And you see that, so there is increased conductivity as the grain size decreased. Exception. Why? In the nanofibers of made up of polymers, there can be a better orientation, the better alignment of the nanofibers that will facilitate the electron conduction path, and there is no decrease in the conductivity, and it facilitates the mobility of the charge carriers, and increased conductivity is there. Better orientation of the nanofibers in the polymer materials will facilitate increased conductivity due to intramolecular conduction or intramolecular conduction will lead to enhanced conductivity, unlike decreased conductivity in the case of metals and semiconductors. Better alignment will favor the better electrostatic force of interactions that results in the increased conductivity in polymers. So to summarize today's class, we have seen why nanoparticles showed decreased conductivity or different conductivity compared to the bulk. The reasons are surface scattering, including grain boundary scattering, widening and discrete of band gap, discrete nature of the band gap, quantized conduction, including ballistic conduction, Coulomb charging or quantum tunneling. Then microstructure, we have seen better alignment. Then definitely in the case of metals, if there are no impurities, higher conductivity you can expect. Or if not impurity, if there are no impurities, at least reduced defect and dislocations also will facilitate increased conductivity. I'll stop now. So we will take up last nanoscale properties, that is optical, two more nanoscale properties are there. Maybe in the next class we can take up. So if anybody would like to add anything, make some comments, clarification, you can do so.
Sir,
Excuse me.
question.
Yes, please.
Is the bulk is made from nanomaterials, or the nanomaterial and bulk between them is a big difference?
Yes. There is a large difference in physical properties, chemical properties. Large difference. We are seeing one by one why it is happening, how it is happening. So since you joined a little late, please wait. I will go back to from the beginning classes. Maybe sometimes we will schedule some extra classes for you. Then you can correlate this.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Be patient, please. Anybody else? Anything would like to add? Make some comments, clarifications. So if not, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, see you, see you.